I wish I had known better. In Silicon Valley, if something seems too good to be true, it usually is. But greed and ambition makes us blind to what we would rather not see. A month ago, I was a top back-end coder at a unicorn startup, drowning in stock options and company benefits. I had the car, credit card, flat, the works. Then came the scandal. A nice mix of insider shorts trading, a few misplaced lines of code, and a whole lot of other people's money. I didn't start it, but I looked the other way, realizing that I was definitely benefiting. And when it all came crashing down, I was the scapegoat caught red-handed, the young, successful entrepreneur with his hand in the till. The press totally devoured me, and the company left me to burn. My family and friends had no sympathy. I had lost their respect and trust along with everything else. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, the email came. A job offer from a no-name startup in some random town I'd never heard of. Oakwood Grove. Population nobody knows or cares. The salary was a joke compared to what I was used to, but beggars can't be choosers. And hey, they were offering a house as part of the deal. I hurriedly signed the contract and took little notice of the finer details. A fresh start, away from the vultures picking away at the rotten carcass of my reputation. So I packed up my rucksack, handed in the keys to the car and my flat, and caught the next flight to Oakwood Grove. This temporary heaven-sent pit stop, a chance to gather my pride and plan my comeback. My taxi pulled into Oakwood Grove. It looked like a town frozen in time. Its manicured lawns and white picket fences felt more like prison bars than a fresh start. I was surprisingly greeted by the town's head, Mayor Gladwell, and a selection of neighbours with smiles that almost reached their eyes, offering casseroles that smelled of insincerity and boring routines. I shrugged off a faint feeling of unease. The work was a joke. The startup was developing some augmented reality app for Halloween costumes, kids stuff, way below my pay grade. But I played along, nodding enthusiastically in meetings and acting like a dutiful employee. It's just for a few months, I said to myself. October rolled by and the town went nuts for Halloween. I'm talking decorations that would put Disneyland to shame. Every conversation revolved around costumes and candy and the big town party on the 31st. It was so boring. I found it hard not to glaze over as my neighbours and colleagues droned on and on about it all. A few days before Halloween, the company decided to give everyone a week's break to thank us for all our hard work. Weird, I thought, just before the biggest day of the year for them. But hey, I'm definitely not one to question and jeopardise a freebie. With time on my hands, I downloaded the consumer version of ShadowAR. Might as well see what all the fuss was about, right? The app was simple enough. Point your camera at someone and it would enhance them with Halloween special effects. Cute, but hardly revolutionary. I was sitting on my porch that evening, 2 whiskeys down and feeling warm and fuzzy, when I spotted my neighbour, Sophie, who was in her yard setting up some animatronic zombies. I idly opened the app and pointed my phone at her, expecting to see some cheesy CGI. Instead, what I saw made my stomach tighten, the warmth of the whiskey draining away. Sophie was wrong. Her skin was a sickly grey, her eyes sunken and glowing, and her mouth, God, her mouth was a gaping hole filled with black, broken teeth. There was Sophie, waving cheerfully. "You okay?" she called. "You look like you've seen a ghost." I managed a weak wave, my mind spinning. It must be an error, but it just didn't feel like a glitch. Could it be that something was actually very, very wrong in Oakwood Grove? Over the next few days, I couldn't stop using the app in my search for someone or something that didn't morph into a vision of terror. The town librarian, a withered corpse with maggots writhing in empty eye sockets. The golden retriever next door, a snarling, dribbling, 3-headed monster. And the children. God, the children. An emaciated, hollow-eyed things with claw-like fingers and jaws that gaped open hungrily. I tried to report the app, to warn people, But now my company's emails just bounced back. It didn't seem to exist anymore. Google searches came back with nothing, and none of my colleagues answered their phones or had any online presence. And the app itself, it wouldn't uninstall. Every time I deleted it, it would reappear on my home screen within seconds. Was I losing my mind? I needed proof. Anything to convince me that what I was seeing wasn't just an incredibly advanced AR effect. Then, with my evidence, I could contact the police and get help. The opportunity came the next day. Sophie and her husband were having a shouting match, their voices carrying clearly through the thin walls. As I heard their door open, I held up my phone to the window and pressed record. And Sophie's husband stormed out, the door banging crazily behind him. As he stomped ragefully down the driveway, I trained my phone camera on him and watched as his human form glitched. For a heartbeat, I saw horns, red eyes, an inhuman bulk. I pulled the phone away from my gaze and looked at him with my own eyes. The horrendous sight was still there. Then, in the next heartbeat, it was gone. Reality reasserting itself. I tried to contact the police, but my phone wouldn't dial out. I now had no internet connection or any cell phone signal. I spent the next few days never leaving my house. My mind raced with the implications. If what I had seen was true, then everyone in this town was hiding their true form. Everyone but me. The fear was crippling at first, and I spent hours staring out of the window, watching the monsters go about their daily lives, glitching between their human and non-human selves. I was too freaked to go shopping, so I lived on crackers and cups of sweet black tea. The day of Halloween was here, and my neighbours upped the ante in their Halloween preparations. What was this big Halloween town party really all about? I decided I didn't want to be here to find out. I hatched a plan. I waited till the sun had set and the streetlights pulled their beams down on the sidewalk. I watched everyone leave their homes and surge towards the town hall, their human forms very present, but I knew what potential lay beneath those facades. I went outside and crept along the shadows, my heart pumping, fear melding with excitement. I approached Sophie's house and did the old credit card trick on the front door. My success in gaining entry was more through sheer luck than any skill, but I took it as a good omen. I scanned through her kitchen, looking for car keys and cash, but noticed a pumpkin pie sitting freshly baked on the table. I shoved 2 fingers in and scooped out some contents. Tasted good. I was starving. Cramming some more pie into my mouth and armed with Sophie's car keys and some cash, I slipped out of her home and boldly strolled up to her vehicle. I slithered into the driver's seat and pressed the ignition button. Nothing happened. Suddenly, I heard Mayor Cladwell's voice.
It is time, friends. The veil is at its thinnest, and our guest of honor must be welcome.
I glanced with horror through the windscreen as hell was literally surrounding me. Claws and teeth tore into me, and I screamed. But instead of pain, I felt nothing. The world around me fractured like glass. As my vision cleared, I saw a sterile white room filled with blinking monitors and whirring machines. A woman in a lab coat stood over me, her face a mask of clinical detachment. "Simulation complete," she announced, her voice echoing in the sterile room. "What is this?" I croaked. "Who are you?" The scientist's lips curled into a small, satisfied smile. "We are ShadowAR. The real ShadowAR. You've just experienced our latest product, a fully integrated AR life simulation." I tried to move, to sit up, but my body felt like lead. "This can't be real," I muttered. The scientist leaned in close, her breath hot on my ear. "Oh, but it is. And the truly terrifying part? You volunteered for this. You signed the contract. You wanted an easy route out so badly that you were willing to let us rewrite your reality." She stepped back, unveiling a sleek console. 2 icons glowed on its surface. "You have a choice now," she said. The green icon will reboot your simulation. You'll return to Oakwood Grove, blissfully unaware of the true nature of your reality, always sensing something's off, but never quite able to put your finger on it. My throat constricted as I considered the implications. A life of comfortable ignorance, always on the edge of a truth I couldn't grasp. And the red icon, I managed to ask? Her smile widened. The X sign terminates the simulation entirely. You'll wake up in your real body with all your real memories intact, including your decimated reputation. And if you choose to end the simulation, we'll move on to the next subject. And given your expertise, you will be the one designing their nightmare. The weight of the decision crashed down on me. Blissful ignorance or cruel knowledge? Remain a victim or become the tormentor? My hand hovered over the console, trembling. In Silicon Valley, I'd always chosen ambition over ethics. At ShadowAR, I could bury my ethics and start my own brand of manipulation. Now, faced with the ultimate choice, what sort of person would I really prove to be? I took a deep breath and surprisingly pressed the green icon. Fascinating choice, the scientist's voice echoed. The sterile lab melted away, replaced by the familiar streets of Oakwood Grove. The horrors I'd seen through the app were everywhere, in vivid, nauseating detail. A notification pinged on my phone.
Reality filter disabled. Empathy simulator offline. Nightmare mode activated.
Thanks for watching the first videos from Tales from the Shadows. We hope you enjoyed it, so please like, subscribe and press the notification bell to keep up to date with all the new stories we'll be producing. So thanks again.